Nia Brooks didn't scream at first. She couldn't, because the sound in her throat got stuck behind the weight of what she was seeing, her husband's name carved into stone, and a stranger's hand crushing her wrist like it meant nothing.
Ma'am, stop resisting!
The officer's voice cut through the cemetery like an insult. Nia stumbled, her black heels sliding on wet grass, her knees threatening to fold. The cuffs bit into her skin as he yanked her harder, pulling her away from the grave like he was dragging a bag of trash to the curb.
Please!
Nia cried, finally finding her voice.
That's my husband. He's right there.
She twisted to look back. The fresh mound of earth sat beneath a flood of flowers and a folded flag, red, white, and blue, still so crisp it looked fake against the dark soil. A wind blew, lifting the funeral program from the ground. It fluttered once, then landed face up. Marcus Brooks' beloved husband, father, firefighter. Nia's breath hitched. Her chest tightened until she thought she might break in half. Her husband had been lowered into the ground less than an hour ago. And now she was being ripped away from him like she wasn't allowed to grieve.
Don't touch me.
She pleaded, voice cracking into something childlike.
Please don't do this here.
But Officer Kessler didn't slow down. He tightened his grip and hauled her toward a patrol car parked on the cemetery road, the tires still dusted with gravel like it had come in too fast and stopped too late. Nia's coat snagged on a stone. Fabric tore with a sharp rip. She cried out, more out of humiliation than pain, because grief had already done the worst damage. This was just cruelty. Minutes earlier, the cemetery had been quiet, the kind of quiet that almost feels respectful, like the world knows to step back. Gray clouds hung low over the headstones. A light drizzle had started and stopped like the sky couldn't commit to anything today. Most of the mourners were gone. The pastor had left with his Bible tucked under his arm. The funeral home staff had finished packing folding chairs into the van. The last few cars had rolled away slowly, taillights blinking like tired eyes. Only Nia remained. She had told herself she would leave. She had promised her sister she would go home. She had promised her daughter, 8-year-old Ava, that she would be back before bedtime. But every time Nia tried to walk away, her body refused. Like if she left, the world would make it official. Like leaving would mean she truly accepted the impossible truth that Marcus Brooks, her Marcus, was in the ground. So she stayed, kneeling near the grave, pressing her palm against the damp earth as if she could hold him there, whispering things she should have said when he was still alive. "I'm sorry," she told the dirt. "I'm sorry I didn't make you stay home. I'm sorry I complained about the overtime. I'd give anything just to hear you come through the door one more time." Her wedding ring felt too heavy. Her hands shook. Her eyes burned until tears didn't even feel like relief anymore. They felt like the only thing she could do right. Then she heard tires on gravel. A slow crunching sound that didn't belong. Nia glanced up, annoyed at first, assuming it was a groundskeeper. But it wasn't. A police cruiser rolled into view like it had every right to enter this sacred place. It moved with the casual authority of someone used to being obeyed. The car stopped. A door opened. Boots hit the ground. And the boots walked toward her. "We got a call." Officer Kessler approached with a posture that wasn't concerned. It was ready to find a problem. Ready to control something. His uniform was crisp. His jaw was tight. His eyes moved over Nia in quick, cold assessments. Her coat, her hands, her bag, her face, like he was scanning her for a threat instead of grief. "Ma'am," he called out, voice flat. "You can't be here." Nia blinked, confused. "What?" Kessler didn't soften. Didn't ask if she was okay. Didn't even glance at the grave. "Cemetery closes at 5, he said. "It's after hours. We got a call about suspicious activity." Nia stared at him like her brain couldn't translate his words. "This is suspicious?" she repeated. "I'm at my husband's grave." Kessler's eyes flicked to the name on the headstone, then away, as if it didn't matter. "Rules are rules. You need to leave." Nia stood slowly. Her knees wobbled. Her voice was quiet but firm. "Officer, please. Just 5 minutes. I'm not bothering anyone." Kessler's expression didn't change. "No." Nia's throat tightened. "It's my husband," she said again, like saying it louder might make him human. He was a firefighter. He died last week. I'm just... Kessler cut her off. Ma'am, don't make this difficult. Something in his tone, something impatient and sharp, sparked heat behind Nia's eyes. She wasn't trying to cause a scene. She wasn't trying to be brave. She was simply trying to hold herself together. Why would someone call the police on me? She asked, voice trembling. I'm not doing anything wrong. Kessler stepped closer, hand resting near his belt. You people always got a reason, he muttered. Nia froze. The cemetery seemed to tilt. You people, she whispered. Kessler's mouth twitched like he realized what he'd said, and decided he didn't care enough to take it back. Step away from the grave, he ordered. Now. Nia's chest rose and fell too fast. No, she said, surprising herself. I'm not leaving yet. Kessler's eyes hardened. I said move. Nia shook her head, tears rising again, not just from grief now, but from the ugly reality of being treated like she didn't belong in her own pain. This is the last place I have left, she said, voice cracking. Please. Kessler reached for her arm. Instinct snapped through her body. Don't touch me, she said sharply. He grabbed her anyway. Nia yanked back, not to fight, but to protect the little shred of dignity she had left. And Kessler reacted like she'd attacked him. Stop resisting, he barked. I'm not resisting. Nia cried. I'm grieving. But the words didn't matter. Kessler twisted her wrist behind her back. Pain shot up her arm so hot it made her vision blur. Nia gasped, stumbling forward, cheek nearly brushing the headstone. Marcus, she choked out, like calling his name might bring him up from the ground to stop this. Kessler shoved her toward the cruiser. Hands behind your back. You're hurting me. Nia sobbed. Please, please don't do this here. Metal clicked. Cold cuffs clamped down on her wrists. Too tight. Like punishment. Nia's knees buckled. And as she tried to steady herself, Kessler yanked her upright so hard her shoulder popped with a sickening jolt. A scream tore out of her, not loud, not dramatic, just raw. The kind of sound that comes from someone already shattered. As Kessler dragged Nia across the grass, another voice called from the entrance of the cemetery. Kessler! A second officer jogged in, older, broader, a tired face that looked like he'd seen enough to know when something was wrong. Sergeant Alvarez. He slowed as he took in the scene, Nia's cuffed hands, her torn coat, the grave behind her. His eyes flicked to the headstone. Then back to Kessler. What the hell is this? Alvarez demanded. Kessler didn't stop. We got a call, he snapped. Suspicious person trespassing. She refused to comply. Nia turned her head toward Alvarez, desperation flooding her. Sergeant, please, she cried. That's my husband. He's buried right there. He's hurting me. Alvarez's jaw tightened. Kessler, he said carefully, let her go. Kessler's face twisted with irritation. Stay in your lane, Sarge. Alvarez stepped closer. This is a funeral, he said, voice low. What are you doing? Kessler shoved Nia toward the back seat. Her forehead hit the door frame. She cried out. Alvarez flinched. Kessler, he shouted. But Kessler slammed the door. And for a moment, Nia sat in the back of the cruiser with her breath coming in broken bursts, forehead throbbing, wrists burning, the smell of vinyl and cold metal filling her nose. She pressed her cheek to the window. Through the blur of tears, she could still see Marcus's grave. She could still see the flowers. The flag. The funeral program lying face up like the world itself was begging someone to notice. Then the sound came again. A deep engine. Smooth, expensive. Not the police. A black SUV rolled into the cemetery and stopped behind the cruiser. It wasn't flashing lights. It wasn't sirens. It was presence. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. Dark suit. Calm posture. Hair pulled back. Eyes sharp enough to cut glass. She walked with the kind of purpose that made everyone around her subconsciously straighten up. Sergeant Alvarez turned toward her, confused. Officer Kessler turned too, and for the first time, the confidence in his face wavered. Because this wasn't a random mourner. This was someone who carried authority like a weapon. The woman's gaze went straight to the cruiser window. To Nia's face. Nia's breath caught. Because the woman looked at her like she knew her. Like she recognized her pain. Her lips parted, forming one word. Soft, stunned, furious. Nia? Kessler stepped forward, blocking her path. "Ma'am," he barked, puffing his chest back up. "This is an active arrest. Leave the area." The woman didn't flinch. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a leather credential holder. She flipped it open. A badge glinted. A federal seal. Kessler's eyes flicked down and back up. His throat bobbed. The woman's voice was quiet, controlled, deadly. "I'm here to mourn Marcus Brooks," she said, eyes never leaving Nia. "And you're going to open that door, right now." Kessler's hand hovered near his radio. Alvarez went still. And inside the cruiser, Nia felt something terrifying bloom beneath her grief, hope. Because if this woman was who her badge said she was, then what Kessler just did wasn't going to disappear into paperwork. Kessler lifted his radio to his mouth, voice low, urgent. "Dispatch," he said, staring at the federal badge like it offended him. "I need supervisor backup at Oak Ridge Cemetery. Now." The woman took one step closer, and her calm voice dropped into a warning that felt like thunder. "You just called the wrong people." Kessler's eyes narrowed, and he moved toward the cruiser door, not to open it, but to slam it shut again. And Nia watched through the glass as the federal woman reached for her phone, whispering, "Marcus, what did you get yourself into?" Kessler's hand hit the cruiser door like it was a courtroom gavel. The sound echoed through the cemetery, sharp, disrespectful. Inside, Nia flinched so hard her shoulders jumped. Her forehead throbbed where it had hit the frame. Her wrists burned under the cuffs, the metal biting deeper each time she tried to shift. Through the smeared window, she watched Kessler turn his body sideways, blocking the door with his whole frame like a wall, then stare down the woman in the dark suit. The woman didn't move. She stood in the gravel path with her badge still open in her hand, rain dotting her shoulders, her expression calm in a way that made Kessler's aggression look small. Kessler lifted his radio again like a weapon. "Supervisor en route," he muttered, eyes locked on her. "So unless you want to catch charges too, I suggest you step back." The woman's gaze flicked past him, straight to Nia's face in the backseat. Nia saw it clearly now. This wasn't curiosity. This was recognition. Like the woman wasn't just arriving at a scene. Like she was arriving at a truth. The woman raised her phone to her ear, voice low enough that only Alvarez and Kessler could hear. "I need you on speaker," she said, then glanced down at her watch. "Now." Kessler took a step toward her. "Ma'am, I said step back." She didn't step back. She didn't raise her voice either. She simply looked at him like he was the one trespassing. "I'm not your ma'am," she said. "And I'm not backing up from a civil rights violation happening in real time." Sergeant Alvarez shifted uneasily. You could see the war in his face. Department loyalty on one side, human decency on the other. "Kessler," Alvarez warned, voice tight. Kessler ignored him. He leaned toward the SUV woman, eyes narrowed, voice dropping to a sneer. "You people love to throw around civil rights like it's a magic word." The woman's jaw clenched, one small movement, controlled anger beneath a calm surface. Then her phone clicked. A voice came through the speaker. "Reynolds." The woman, Maya Reynolds, held up her hand, palm outward, stopping Kessler mid-step like she had invisible authority. "Director Collins," Maya said. "I'm at Oak Ridge Cemetery. Officer Kessler is detaining a grieving widow at her husband's graveside. He just cuffed her and slammed her in the back of his unit." Alvarez's head snapped toward Maya. Kessler's eyes widened just a fraction, then he recovered with forced confidence. Maya continued, words crisp and deadly. "Her wrists are bleeding. She's injured. He's refusing to release her. I'm requesting immediate intervention and preservation of all body cam and dash cam footage. Right now." Kessler scoffed. "Lady, you don't." Maya turned her phone so Kessler could hear the voice more clearly. The voice on the other end didn't sound like a civilian. It sounded like a man who didn't ask for permission. Officer Kessler, the voice said, calm and cold. This is Director Collins. Internal Affairs. The cemetery air changed instantly. Kessler's mouth opened, then closed. Sergeant Alvarez went still, like he'd just been hit in the chest. Internal Affairs wasn't a word officers said casually. It was a word that made careers start sweating. Kessler's posture stiffened. He forced a laugh that didn't land. Internal Affairs? For what? She's trespassing. Is she? Collins asked. Maya didn't wait. It's 4:12, she said. Cemetery closes at 5. Kessler lied. He escalated. He used force. He made a racial remark. I heard it. Kessler snapped, that's a lie. Collins didn't respond to Kessler immediately. Instead, his voice cut through like a blade. Sergeant Alvarez, Collins said. Are you present? Alvarez's throat worked. Yes, sir. Do you see the widow? Alvarez looked at the cruiser. Looked at Nia's face behind the glass. Looked at the grave, flowers, flag, fresh earth. His voice came out rough. Yes, sir. Is she a threat? Alvarez paused. Too long. Kessler stared at him like a dare. Alvarez exhaled. No, sir. Kessler's eyes flashed. Maya's gaze didn't. Collins spoke again, slow and certain. Release her. Now. Kessler swallowed hard. This is my scene, he said, voice sharper than his control. I got a call. Maya's expression tightened. A call from who? She asked. Someone who didn't like seeing a black woman grieving alone? Kessler's face reddened. That's not what this is about. Maya took one step closer to the cruiser door, eyes locked on Kessler's hand. Open it, she said. Before you make this worse. Kessler moved like he was going to block her again. And that's when Alvarez stepped in. Not fully against Kessler, just enough to interrupt. Kessler, Alvarez said quietly, let her out. Kessler turned on him like a dog protecting a bone. You gonna tell me how to do my job now? Alvarez held his gaze. I'm telling you how to keep it. For a heartbeat, nobody moved. Rain began to fall again, light, cold drops tapping on the cruiser roof like impatient fingers. Kessler's pride fought with the reality of that phone call. Internal Affairs. In a cemetery. In front of a grave. Finally, Kessler yanked the door open. Nia's breath stuttered. The cold air hit her like a slap. Maya moved immediately, stepping toward her, voice suddenly gentle, human. Nia, she said softly. It's okay. I'm here. Nia stared at her through tears. Maya? She whispered, like the name was a lifeline she didn't know she had. Maya reached for Nia's wrists, eyes narrowing at the purple swelling beneath the cuffs. These are too tight, Maya said, voice sharpening again. Take them off. Kessler didn't move. She resisted, he muttered. Nia's eyes flared with pain. I didn't resist, she cried. I asked for 5 minutes. Kessler snapped, Ma'am, stop yelling. Maya's head whipped toward him. Don't call her him like you respect her, Maya said, low and dangerous. You dragged her off her husband's grave. Kessler's jaw clenched. You don't know anything about this. Maya's voice dropped to a whisper that still carried. I know enough. Now take them off. Kessler's hand hovered near his belt again. His eyes flicked to Alvarez, then back to Maya. I'm not taking orders from you. Maya held up her badge again. This time she angled it so the rain didn't dull the seal. Civil Rights Division, she said. You're done. Kessler's face twisted. This is local jurisdiction. Maya's stare didn't flinch. Civil rights isn't local, she said. It's federal. Alvarez cleared his throat, trying to calm a fire that was already climbing the walls. Kessler, he said, just loosen them. Kessler's nostrils flared. Then, slowly, he reached for the cuff key. He stepped toward Nia. Nia recoiled instinctively. Kessler's eyes narrowed at her movement, like he wanted to punish her for fear. Maya stepped between them, body-blocking him. You don't touch her again, Maya said. Kessler's voice rose, frustration breaking through. You interfering with my arrest is obstruction. Maya's eyes turned to ice. Then arrest me, she said. Right here. In front of her husband's grave. In front of your sergeant. In front of internal affairs on speaker. Arrest me. Kessler's mouth tightened. For a second, it looked like he wouldn't. Then the ego won. His eyes hardened, and he did something that made Alvarez's face drain of color. Kessler reached out and grabbed Maya's wrist. You want to play federal? He barked. Let's play. Alvarez stepped forward fast. Kessler, Maya didn't resist. She didn't pull away. She simply stared at him, calm and unafraid, like she already knew the ending. Kessler snapped cuffs out again. Nia's chest seized. Maya, she cried. Metal clicked. And the cemetery, the place where Marcus had been laid to rest, became a stage for something far uglier than grief. Kessler shoved Maya toward the cruiser. Turn around, he ordered. Maya lifted her chin slightly and spoke into her phone, voice steady. Director Collins, you heard that? The voice on the phone went colder. I heard it, Reynolds. Kessler barked. Turn off the phone. Maya didn't. Kessler grabbed it, but Maya twisted her shoulder just enough to keep it from flying. Alvarez grabbed Kessler's arm. Enough, Alvarez growled. Stop this. Kessler yanked free. You touch me again, Sarge, I'll write you up too. Alvarez's jaw flexed. His fists clenched. He wanted to stop it, but stopping it meant stepping fully outside the thin blue line, and Kessler knew that line was made of consequences. Nia watched it all with her husband's grave behind them and her life collapsing in new ways she didn't even know were possible. Her voice shook. This is my husband's funeral, she whispered, tears streaming. Why are you doing this to me? Kessler didn't answer. He just shoved Maya into the front seat of his cruiser like he wanted the world to see he was still in charge. Then he turned to Nia. You, he said, pointing at her like she was a problem that needed solving. Back in the car. You're coming in. Nia's heart dropped. For what? She cried. For grieving. Kessler's face hardened. For resisting and trespassing, he snapped. And now for causing a scene. Maya leaned across the cruiser's seat, voice firm despite the cuffs. Nia, listen to me, she said urgently. Do not say another word to him. Do you understand? Nia blinked through tears. What, why? Maya's eyes flicked to the grave for half a second, pain and anger crossing her face. Because something is wrong, Maya whispered, and he's trying to bury it. Kessler slammed his door. Then he shoved Nia back into the rear seat, this time with Alvarez watching, helpless rage in his eyes. The cruiser pulled off. Gravel popped under the tires. The cemetery disappeared behind them. And Nia's last glimpse of Marcus's grave was the folded flag, half hidden under rain, as if the country itself couldn't bear to look. In the back seat, Nia's breathing came in shaky bursts. The cuffs still hugged her wrists like punishment. Her tears didn't stop. She didn't even try to stop them. Maya sat in the front seat, hands cuffed, posture straight. Kessler drove like he was angry at the road. Alvarez followed behind in his own vehicle, close enough to witness, not close enough to intervene without detonating his career. Nia stared at the metal barrier between the front and back seats, voice trembling. Maya, why were you at the cemetery? Maya didn't turn around fully, but her voice came back soft. I came to mourn Marcus, she said. Nia's throat tightened. You knew him? Yes, Maya answered. I knew him. Nia swallowed hard. He never mentioned you. He wouldn't, Maya said. Not to protect you from grief. To protect you from what he was involved in. Nia's stomach twisted. What does that mean? Maya didn't answer immediately. Kessler's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. Don't talk, he snapped. You've said enough. Maya's voice went quiet. Nia, she said, barely above a whisper, stay calm. Whatever happens next, don't let him separate you from the truth. Nia's heart pounded. What truth? She whispered. Kessler's grip tightened on the steering wheel. The cruiser turned sharply into the station parking lot. And Nia understood, without anyone saying it out loud. This wasn't about trespass. This was about control. About who gets to tell the story. And who gets silenced. Inside the station, fluorescent lights washed everything into a sickly pale color. The air smelled like old coffee and disinfectant. They processed Nia like she was a criminal. Fingerprinting. A quick photo. A bored officer who avoided eye contact. Nia asked for a phone call. The officer pretended he didn't hear. Then, just as Nia was being guided toward a holding room, another officer appeared, a woman with a tired face and a plastic evidence bag in her hands. "Mrs. Brooks?" the woman asked. Nia froze. "Yes." The woman held up the bag. "These were your husband's personal effects," she said, voice flat like this was routine. "They were found in his locker." Nia's breath caught. Inside the bag was Marcus's wallet, his watch, and a sealed envelope. Nia recognized the handwriting instantly, even through the plastic. Her hands began to shake, because on the front of the envelope, Marcus had written, "Messy and urgent. Nia, if anything happens, give this to Maya. Do not trust local PD." Nia's vision blurred. Her heart slammed against her ribs. Marcus wrote this? Marcus, who believed in doing things the right way, who taught Ava to wave at police cars, who always said, "Most people are good." Nia stared at the words like they were burning through the plastic. The female officer slid the bag across the counter. Nia reached for it. Her fingers trembled so hard she could barely grip it. "What is this?" she whispered. The officer shrugged. "Don't know. Captain said release it." Nia's throat tightened. Maya. Marcus had written Maya's name. He'd planned for this, which meant he'd been afraid. Nia's hands moved on instinct, peeling open the envelope with shaking fingers. A folded letter slid out, and beneath it, a second item, a small, hard rectangle wrapped in tissue paper. Nia unwrapped it. Her breath stopped. It was a badge. Not firefighter. Not local police. Something federal. Nia stared at it, mind spinning. What is this?" she whispered. And right then, outside the holding room, she heard Kessler's voice in the hallway, low, sharp, panicked. "Did she get the envelope?" Another voice answered, nervous. "Yes, she's holding it right now." Kessler's reply was a hiss through clenched teeth. "Then we take it back, before she figures out who her husband really was." Nia's blood turned to ice. She clutched the letter and badge to her chest. The door handle to the holding room turned, slowly. A shadow slid under the doorway. And Nia realized, with terrifying clarity, Kessler wasn't just trying to arrest her. He was trying to erase Marcus. The door creaked open. Officer Kessler stepped inside, eyes locked on the envelope in Nia's hands, voice dangerously calm. "Hand it over, and maybe you walk out of here tonight." Officer Kessler stood in the doorway of the holding room like he owned the air inside it. His voice was calm, too calm, the kind of calm that didn't mean peace. It meant control. Nia backed up until the cold cinderblock wall pressed into her shoulder blades. Her hands shook as she clutched the envelope and the small federal-looking badge against her chest like they were the only solid things left in a world tilting off its axis. In the hallway behind Kessler, Maya's voice cut through the station like a siren. "Nia, don't." Kessler's head snapped toward the sound, jaw tightening. Nia's eyes flicked past him and saw Maya at the end of the corridor, still cuffed, flanked by two officers who looked unsure whether they were escorting a criminal or babysitting a bomb. Maya's gaze locked onto Nia's hands. "The envelope," Maya shouted. "Keep it with you. Do not give him anything." Kessler's calm cracked. Just a hairline fracture, but Nia saw it. Fear, not fear of Maya. Fear of what Nia was holding. He turned back to Nia fast, stepping into the room. "You think you're smart?" he muttered, voice dropping. "You don't even know what you're holding." Nia's throat tightened. "I know my husband wrote it," she whispered. "And I know you're scared of it." Kessler's eyes narrowed. He took another step forward. "Nia." Maya called again, voice urgent but controlled now. "Look at me, breathe. Stay still. Whatever happens, don't sign anything, don't say anything without me." Kessler's face twisted into something ugly. "Without you?" he scoffed. "She's not getting you. You're done." He reached out. Nia flinched, body snapping into survival. She turned sideways instinctively, shielding the envelope with her shoulder. Kessler's hand caught her forearm. His grip wasn't just firm, it was punishment disguised as procedure. "Give it," he hissed. Nia's eyes burned. Not from tears this time. From the sheer unfairness of it. "My husband is dead," she said, voice shaking. "And you still won't leave us alone." Kessler yanked harder. "Your husband," he snapped, "should have minded his business." The sentence hit Nia like a slap. Her breath stopped. "What did you say?" Kessler realized too late that he'd spoken from anger instead of caution. His eyes flicked toward the hallway. Toward Maya. Toward the watching officers. Then he tried to recover, voice hardening back into authority. "Evidence," he said loudly. "That envelope is evidence. Hand it over." Nia clutched it tighter. "It's addressed to her," Nia said, nodding toward Maya. Marcus wrote Maya's name. Kessler's nostrils flared. He stepped closer until Nia could smell his breath. Coffee and something sharp underneath it, like adrenaline. "You want to go home to your kid?" he whispered, low enough for only her to hear. "Then do what you're told." Nia's heart slammed. Ava, her baby. Her daughter, who was probably at home right now, asking why mommy wasn't back yet, why nobody answered the phone. Nia's hands trembled so hard the badge in the tissue paper slipped. It fell and hit the floor with a dull plastic tap. Kessler's eyes dropped. And the moment he saw the badge, his face changed completely. Not anger, not annoyance, but pure panic. Because he recognized it. Nia saw it in the way his pupils sharpened. In the way his lips parted like he was about to speak and couldn't. He stepped back half a step without meaning to. Maya, still in the hallway, saw the change too. "What is that?" Maya demanded. "Nia, what else was in the envelope?" Kessler lunged. Not for Nia, for the badge on the floor. Nia reacted on instinct, sliding her foot over it, pinning it beneath her heel like she was protecting a fragile secret. Kessler's eyes flashed. "You don't know what you're doing," he growled. And then the room erupted. "Get off her!" A voice thundered down the hallway, deeper, older, furious. Sergeant Alvarez pushed into view, moving fast. His eyes took in Nia backed against the wall. Kessler too close. Maya cuffed and shouting. The envelope crushed in Nia's hands. Alvarez's face hardened like steel. "Kessler," he said, voice low and lethal, "step away from her. Now." Kessler turned sharply, offended. "This is my scene, Sarge." Alvarez didn't blink. "This stopped being your scene the moment you put hands on a widow at a graveside." Kessler sneered. "Don't act like you're some hero." Alvarez's jaw flexed. "I'm not a hero," he said quietly. "But I know wrong when I see it." Kessler's eyes darted to the hallway, like he was calculating who was watching, who was recording, who could ruin him. Then he did something that confirmed everything. He reached for his radio again. "Lieutenant," he said quickly. "I need." Maya cut in, voice sharp. "No," she said. "You don't get to control who comes in here." Kessler snapped toward her. "Shut your mouth." Maya lifted her chin. "Or what?" she said. "You'll cuff me again? You already made that mistake." Kessler's face reddened. Alvarez stepped between Kessler and Nia fully now, blocking him like a shield. "You're done," Alvarez said. Kessler's eyes narrowed, and he leaned toward Alvarez like a threat. "You want to lose your pension over this?" Alvarez's voice dropped. "I can live without a pension," he said. "Can you live with what you're doing?" For a moment, nobody moved. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like the building itself was nervous. Then footsteps approached, fast, decisive. A higher-ranking officer entered, Lieutenant Harlan. He was mid-40s, clean-shaven, the type who spoke in calm commands and expected obedience. His eyes moved over the scene. "Kessler," Harlan said evenly. "Explain." Kessler immediately shifted into performance mode, upright posture, controlled voice. "Lieutenant," the suspect became uncooperative, attempted to conceal evidence, and the federal prosecutor. Maya cut in again. "She's not a suspect," Maya said. "She's a widow. And that envelope is addressed to me." Harlan's eyes flicked to Maya's cuffs. "And why is a federal prosecutor in cuffs?" he asked, tone sharpening. Kessler hesitated. Maya answered for him. Because he arrested me at a cemetery for interfering with him dragging a grieving widow off her husband's grave, Maya said. And he did it after Internal Affairs was already on the phone. Harlan's mouth tightened. He looked at Alvarez. Is that true? Alvarez nodded once, yes. Harlan's gaze returned to Kessler, slow and heavy. Kessler, he said, uncuff Ms. Reynolds. Kessler's jaw clenched. Sir. Now, Harlan repeated, voice firmer. Kessler hesitated just long enough to show he was fighting it, then reached for the key. The metal clicked, and Maya flexed her wrists as circulation returned. Nia's body trembled in relief so sudden it made her dizzy. Maya stepped forward immediately, gentle with Nia, fierce with everyone else. Nia, Maya said softly, are you hurt? Nia swallowed, eyes glassy. My wrists and my shoulder, she whispered. He pulled. Maya's eyes flashed toward Kessler like a blade. Then she looked down at the envelope and badge. Nia, she said carefully, give it to me. Kessler stepped forward. No, he snapped. That's evidence. Maya's voice turned cold. It's not evidence to you, she said. It's a message from a dead man who knew you'd try to steal it. Kessler's face tightened like a wire pulled too hard. Harlan held out his hand toward Nia. Let me see it, he said, neutral but cautious. Nia hesitated. Trust felt dangerous right now. Maya gently covered Nia's hand with hers. Nia, Maya whispered, Lieutenant Harlan isn't the problem. Kessler's. Let Harlan read it. If Marcus wrote what I think he wrote, we need witnesses. Nia's throat tightened. Slowly, she handed the envelope to Harlan. Harlan opened it and pulled out the folded letter. His eyes moved over the first few lines. And then his face changed. A sharp, silent shift, like a man realizing he was standing on a trapdoor. He looked up, eyes locking on Maya. This says, he began, then swallowed. This says Marcus Brooks recorded everything. Nia's heart lurched. Kessler froze. Maya's jaw tightened. Recorded what? Nia whispered. Harlan's voice dropped, careful. Corruption, he said. Stops. Seizures. Evidence mishandling. Dates. Kessler's composure snapped like glass. This is BS, he barked. That man's dead. Maya stepped forward, voice steady and dangerous. And you're alive, she said. Which means we can still arrest you. Kessler's eyes darted around again, calculating. Then he made a mistake. He lunged toward the letter. Alvarez grabbed him. Kessler twisted free with wild strength, knocking Alvarez's shoulder into the wall. The letter slipped from Harlan's fingers and fluttered toward the floor. Nia gasped. Maya moved fast, scooping it up. Her eyes flicked to the bottom of the page. And her breath caught. Because there, under Marcus's signature, was a line that hit like a gunshot. The file is safe. If they take me out, they'll come for Nia next. Maya's eyes lifted slowly to Kessler. Kessler stared at her like he could see the words on her face. You don't have anything, he spat, but his voice trembled. Maya's voice dropped into a whisper that filled the room anyway. You killed him, she asked. Nia's knees went weak. The question was so brutal Nia's brain tried to reject it. Marcus died in an accident, they told her. A crash on the way back from a call. But Kessler's reaction wasn't outrage. It wasn't disbelief. It was terror. You don't know what you're talking about, Kessler said, backing toward the hallway. You don't know who you're messing with. Maya stepped closer. Then enlighten us, she said. Kessler backed up further, eyes flicking to the nearest computer terminal outside the holding room. And that's when Harlan barked an order. Lock down Kessler's body cam, he snapped to an officer. Pull dash footage, pull station cams, pull everything. The officer hesitated. Kessler's lips curled. Good luck, he muttered. My dash has been malfunctioning for weeks. Alvarez's face tightened. Harlan's eyes narrowed. Maya's stomach dropped. Because she'd heard that before. Then we get external footage, Maya said quickly. The cemetery has cameras. The funeral home has cameras. There were witnesses. Nia's voice cracked. And my husband's station, she whispered. The firehouse has cameras too. Marcus, he always said they record equipment storage. Maya turned to her, eyes intense. That's where he kept it, she said, more statement than question. Nia swallowed. I don't know, she whispered. He never. A loud beep cut through the station. The lights flickered once. Then twice. Every monitor in the corridor went black. A sudden system restart. A tech officer's voice rose in panic from the bullpen. Lieutenant? The server just, something hit the network, remote access. Maya's blood went cold. He's wiping it, she said. Harlan stormed into the bullpen. Who's logged in? He barked. The tech officer stammered. It's coming from inside the building. An admin override. Harlan's eyes whipped toward Kessler. Kessler stood in the hallway now, near the exit door. And for the first time, he smiled. Not a smug smile. A desperate one. The smile of a man burning down the building to stay warm. Maya stepped toward him. You're destroying evidence, she said. Kessler shrugged like it was nothing. Prove it, he whispered. Then he turned and walked out. Alvarez surged forward, but Harlan grabbed his arm. Let him go, Harlan hissed, grim. If he's wiping the system, chasing him without backup is a suicide mission. Maya stared after Kessler, fury in her eyes. Nia clutched Marcus's letter against her chest like it could shield her. And then Alvarez's phone rang. He answered. His face changed mid-call, eyes widening, lips parting. What? Alvarez whispered. He listened. Then slowly lowered the phone, looking at Maya and Harlan like he was about to drop a bomb. Kessler just called it in, Alvarez said hoarsely. Harlan's jaw tightened. Called what in? Alvarez swallowed. He reported that Maya Reynolds assaulted an officer, Alvarez said, and that the widow attempted to steal evidence from police custody. Nia felt the room spin. That's a lie, she cried. Maya's voice went deadly quiet. He's writing the story, she whispered. Harlan stared, calculating fast. Court, he said. He's forcing it into court. Maya nodded once. Good, she said. Because court means record. Court means consequences. Nia's voice shook. What if the record is gone? She whispered. What if he erased everything? Maya looked at her, eyes steady and fierce. Then we bring our own, she said. Harlan frowned. What do you mean? Maya's hand tightened around Marcus's letter. Marcus didn't only leave words, she said softly. He left a backup plan. Nia's stomach turned. Maya, she whispered. What did Marcus do? Maya leaned closer, voice lowered like a secret that could save them or kill them. He hid a copy of the evidence where Kessler can't reach it, she said. And I know exactly where. Nia's breath caught. Maya straightened and looked at Harlan. Lieutenant, she said, we need to get to the firehouse. Tonight. Harlan's eyes narrowed. That's not procedure. Maya's gaze didn't flinch. Procedure is what got Marcus killed, she said. We do this now, or we walk into court tomorrow empty-handed, and Kessler walks free. Harlan hesitated, just long enough to show the risk. Then he made a decision. Alvarez, he said, get your keys. Alvarez nodded, already moving. Nia's heart hammered. They were going to the firehouse. To Marcus's world. To the place that smelled like smoke and coffee and the life she used to have. Maya turned to Nia, voice soft again. Nia, she said, I need you to be strong for the next hour. Because once we pull that file, there's no going back. Nia swallowed hard. She thought of Ava, of Marcus, of that last kiss at the door. I'm already past going back, Nia whispered. They moved fast, out of the station into the night. Harlan in front, Alvarez scanning everything, Maya walking with the purpose of someone who knew time was an enemy. But as they reached the parking lot, Nia saw something that made her blood turn cold. A black sedan idled across the street. Windows tinted. Engine running. No markings. It wasn't police. It wasn't a civilian who happened to be there. It was waiting, watching. And when Nia's eyes met the darkness of the windshield, the sedan's headlights blinked once. Like a signal. Maya noticed too. Her shoulders tightened. Alvarez's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. Harlan's face hardened. Then Maya whispered, barely audible, "They're not just protecting Kessler." Nia's throat went dry. "Then who are they?" she whispered. Maya didn't answer. She just opened the car door and said one thing, quiet, urgent, terrifying. "Get in. Now." As Nia climbed into the car, the black sedan across the street pulled out, slowly, then fell in behind them. And Maya stared into the side mirror, voice tight with dread. If Marcus hid the evidence at the firehouse, then the people who killed him already know where we're going. The black sedan followed them like a shadow that didn't need streetlights. It stayed just far enough back to pretend it was a coincidence, but close enough to remind them it wasn't. Nia sat in the back seat of Lieutenant Harlan's unmarked unit, hands clenched in her lap so tightly her nails pressed crescents into her palms. Maya sat beside her, body angled slightly toward the window, watching the mirror with the focused calm of someone who'd stared down worse than threats. Sergeant Alvarez drove behind them in a separate car, close enough to support, not close enough to stop what was coming if things went bad. The wipers dragged slow arcs across the windshield. The rain had returned, thin and cold, like the sky refused to let them forget where this started. Maya didn't look away from the mirror. "They're not local," she said quietly. Harlan glanced up at the mirror, jaw tight. "How can you tell?" Maya's voice stayed steady. "Local tailing is sloppy. They either get too close or they panic and pull off," she said. "These guys are trained. They want us to notice just enough to make us rush and make a mistake." Nia swallowed hard. "Why would they?" she began, then stopped. Her throat tightened around Marcus's name like it was a bruise. "Why would anyone do this, over a letter?" Maya finally looked at her. Not with pity, with honesty. "Because it's not just a letter," Maya said. "It's a map." A silence stretched across the car. Harlan's voice was low, controlled. "We get the file, we get out," he said. "No hero moves. No chasing. No confronting." Maya nodded once. "Agreed." Nia stared at the passing streetlights, her mind trapped between the last 72 hours of her life, casket, flag, grave, cuffs, and the terrifying present, being hunted on the way to the place her husband loved. The firehouse. Marcus's second home. The place that still smelled like him. They turned onto a side road. The city thinned. The buildings gave way to quiet blocks, industrial lots, and long stretches of wet asphalt that gleamed under street lamps. And there it was. Station 14. A brick building with big bay doors, one of them half open. The sign was lit. The American flag at the front hung heavy from rain. Nia's chest tightened. She hadn't been back since the day they told her Marcus was gone. She'd avoided the building the way you avoid touching a hot stove that already burned you once. Harlan pulled into the lot with the headlights off for the last few feet. Alvarez's car came in behind them, parking diagonally like a shield. The black sedan slowed at the end of the street. Didn't enter the lot. Just waited. Like a predator that didn't rush because it knew time could kill for it. Maya's voice dropped. "They're staging," she whispered, "waiting for us to go inside." Alvarez stepped out, scanning the street. One hand hovered near his belt. Harlan opened his door and spoke without turning. "Maya, Nia, stay close to me." Nia stepped out into the cold rain. The smell hit her immediately, diesel, wet concrete, faint smoke that never truly leaves a firehouse. Her eyes blurred, and for a second she wasn't here. She was back 2 weeks ago, watching Marcus joke with his crew, hearing the laugh he saved for people he trusted. Maya touched Nia's elbow lightly. "Stay with me," she murmured. They moved toward the side entrance. Harlan tried the handle, but Alvarez jogged toward the bay door, waved to someone inside. A firefighter emerged, tall, broad, eyes tired. He froze when he saw Nia. "Mrs. Brooks?" His voice cracked. Nia recognized him instantly. Darren, Marcus's closest friend on shift. Darren's eyes filled with pain. What's going on?" he asked. Maya stepped forward, badge visible. "Darren, I'm Maya Reynolds," she said. "I need to speak with you privately. Now." Darren glanced behind them, then at Nia, and understood something wasn't normal. He nodded quickly and stepped aside. "Come in." Inside, the firehouse was quiet. Too quiet. Most of the crew was likely resting upstairs or out on training. The fluorescent lights hummed. A TV played silently in the common area. Coffee sat cold in a pot. Nia's stomach tightened as she passed Marcus's locker. It was still there. His name still taped on the metal, Brooks. Like the building didn't want to accept he was gone. Darren's voice dropped. "Mrs. Brooks. I tried to call you after," he swallowed. "After the accident report came in. But Captain told us not to talk to anyone. Said it was under investigation." Maya's eyes narrowed. "Captain who?" she asked. Darren hesitated. "Captain Rourke." Alvarez's face tightened at the name. Harlan looked at Maya. "That name means something to you?" Maya's jaw clenched. "It might," she said. "But right now, we need what Marcus left." Nia's voice shook. Maya said, "Marcus hid something here." Darren blinked, confusion and fear wrestling across his face. He did." Nia froze. "He did," she whispered. Darren looked down, then back up, eyes glossy. "I didn't know what it was," he said. "Marcus told me, if anything happened, and if you ever showed up here with someone federal, I was supposed to give it to you." Nia's knees almost buckled. Marcus planned this. Marcus knew. Darren stepped toward Marcus's locker, pulled a key ring from his pocket, and opened it with hands that trembled. Inside was Marcus's helmet, neatly placed. A pair of gloves. A small photo. Nia and Ava smiling, the kind of happiness that now felt like a different lifetime. Darren reached behind the bottom panel and pulled out a thin, sealed pouch, waterproof, taped tight. He handed it to Nia, but his eyes were on Maya. "Whatever this is, it's big," Darren whispered. "Because Marcus looked scared when he gave it to me." Nia stared at the pouch. Her hands shook as she passed it to Maya. Maya opened it carefully. Inside was a small flash drive, labeled in Marcus's handwriting. "If I'm gone, play this." Maya inhaled slowly. Harlan pulled a laptop from a nearby desk and opened it. Alvarez stood watch by the bay door, eyes flicking toward the street every few seconds. Maya inserted the drive. The laptop processed. A single folder appeared, Brooks' file. Harlan clicked. A video file opened. The screen filled with Marcus Brooks. Alive, breathing, looking directly at the camera. Nia's breath left her body like it didn't have permission to stay. "Marcus?" she whispered, and her voice shattered. Marcus on screen looked different than the Marcus she remembered from home. His expression wasn't playful. It wasn't relaxed. It was serious, like a man who had stared into something dark and decided he wasn't going to blink. "If you're watching this," Marcus said, voice steady, "then something happened to me." Nia covered her mouth with her hand, tears spilling fast. Marcus continued, "I didn't want to bring this into my house. Into my marriage. Into my daughter's life. But I'm out of time." Maya's eyes stayed locked on the screen, but her jaw tightened. She already knew what was coming. Marcus swallowed. "There's a group inside the department working with outsiders," he said. "They're using traffic stops to seize money, vehicles, property. They're planting charges when they need to. And they're protected by people higher up than patrol." Alvarez's face went pale. Harlan leaned in. Marcus's eyes hardened. "I started documenting everything. Names, badge numbers, dates, body cam gaps, dispatch manipulation. There's a pattern." The screen shifted to a series of photos and videos, stops, seizure forms, scanned documents, timestamps. Then Marcus's voice returned, heavier. "Officer Kessler is involved," he said. "He's not the leader. He's the muscle." Nia's stomach dropped. Maya muttered, barely audible, "I knew it." Marcus continued. "And if you're watching this, it means they came for me. So listen carefully." The screen showed Marcus leaning closer. "Nia, if you have this, don't trust local PD. Don't trust Captain Rourke. Give this to Maya Reynolds. She's the only one I trust to finish it." Nia sobbed silently. Marcus's eyes softened, just for a second. "Ava," he said, voice breaking. "Baby girl, I'm sorry." Then the screen cut to another clip. A dashboard camera view. A dark road. A vehicle following behind Marcus's truck. Headlights closing in. A sudden impact. Metal screaming. The clip froze on a frame, license plate visible on the car behind. Maya's eyes narrowed sharply. Harlan whispered, "That's not random." Alvarez's voice was strained. "That's a setup." Nia stared at the frozen plate, throat dry. The screen returned to Marcus's face. "If you're watching this," Marcus said, "then they're going to try to erase me. But they can't erase what's already stored in 3 places." Maya's eyes snapped to Harlan. "3 places," she repeated. Marcus continued. "1 copy is with Darren. 1 is with Maya. The 3rd is already delivered to Internal Affairs, Director Collins." Maya exhaled slowly, relief and fury mixing. "They're done," she whispered. At that exact moment, Alvarez's voice cut in sharp. "Harlan." Harlan looked up. Alvarez nodded toward the street. The black sedan had moved. It was rolling into the lot now. Slow, bold headlights off. Like they were done pretending. Maya closed the laptop quickly. "Grab it," she whispered. Darren's face drained. "What is happening?" he breathed. Harlan's voice was tight. "We need to leave. Now." They moved toward the side door. But before they reached it, the firehouse lights flickered. Twice. Then the bay door groaned as it began to lower, by itself. Darren's eyes widened. "That's not," he began. "That system is manual." Alvarez pulled his weapon. "Someone's trying to trap us inside." Nia's chest tightened. Her brain screamed, "Not again. Not trapped. Not powerless. Not while holding Marcus's truth." Maya stepped toward the control panel near the bay door and yanked it open. Cut wires. Fresh. Someone had been here. Harlan's phone buzzed, an incoming call. The screen read, "Unknown number." Harlan answered on instinct. A voice came through, calm, amused, dangerous. "Lieutenant," the voice said, "you should have stayed out of it." Harlan's face went hard. "Who is this?" A soft chuckle. "You already know," the voice replied. "Look outside." Harlan moved to the window. He peered out, and his blood ran cold. Officer Kessler stood beside the black sedan. Not in uniform. In plain clothes. With another man Nia didn't recognize. Tall, suit jacket, no badge visible. Kessler raised his hand and waved slowly, like this was a game he'd already won. Then he lifted something to his ear, another phone. And he spoke, loud enough that even through the glass, Nia could read his mouth. "Give me the drive." Nia's legs went weak. Maya's eyes flashed. Alvarez muttered a curse. Harlan lowered the phone, voice controlled but urgent. "They want the evidence," he said. Maya tightened her grip on the laptop. "They can't have it," she replied. Alvarez glanced around the room, calculating exits. "The side door," Darren whispered. "It leads to the alley." Harlan nodded. "Move," he ordered. They rushed toward the side exit. The door swung open into cold air and darkness. They spilled into the alley behind the firehouse, wet pavement, dumpsters, the distant sound of traffic. For a moment it looked like they might make it, until a second car turned into the alley from the opposite end, blocking it. 2 men stepped out. Not cops. No uniforms. Just men with purpose. And then Nia saw it. One of them had a weapon. Maya's voice went tight. "Back inside," she whispered. Harlan's eyes narrowed, mind racing. "We're boxed." Nia felt the world closing in. And then, sirens. Not one. Many. Red and blue lights flooded the alley from the street. A loudspeaker boomed. "Everyone, hands where we can see them." The men froze. Kessler froze. Nia turned and saw a convoy of vehicles pulling into the lot. Unmarked units. Federal. Black SUVs. And at the center, a man stepped out with authority in every step. Director Collins. Internal Affairs. The same voice from the phone. Collins raised his badge, eyes locked on Kessler like a judge. "Officer Kessler," Collins called, voice calm and final. "You are under arrest for obstruction, evidence tampering, and conspiracy. Don't move." Kessler's face contorted. He looked around like a trapped animal. Then he did what desperate men do. He ran. Alvarez moved instantly, tackling him before he took 3 steps. Kessler hit the wet ground hard, grunting as Alvarez pinned him. "Don't," Alvarez growled in his ear. "Not today." The suited man with Kessler, whoever he was, tried to step back into the sedan. Federal agents swarmed him, hands behind his back, cuffs clicking. Nia stood in the alley shaking as the scene exploded into motion. Maya walked forward, holding the laptop like it was sacred. Collins approached her. "You got it?" he asked. Maya nodded once. "Yes." Collins's eyes softened briefly. "And Mrs. Brooks?" Maya turned to Nia. Nia's voice barely worked. "I'm here," she whispered. Collins looked at her with something like respect, like sorrow, like apology. "I'm sorry," he said. "We should have gotten there sooner." Nia stared at him. "You were at the cemetery," she said, remembering. "You came to mourn." Collins nodded. "Marcus saved my son," he said quietly. "I owe him more than a speech." Nia's throat tightened. Maya stepped beside her. "He wanted accountability," Maya said. "He wanted this to end." Collins looked toward Kessler, face pressed to pavement, wrists cuffed, rain soaking his clothes. "It ends," Collins said. "Today." The next morning, the courthouse was packed. News cameras, community members, firefighters in uniform standing shoulder to shoulder like a wall of honor. Nia walked in holding Ava's hand. Ava wore a small black dress and clutched a folded flag-sized piece of fabric that smelled like her father's jacket. Maya walked beside them. Alvarez stood behind, no longer silent, no longer complicit. In court, the judge listened to the evidence. The footage. The documents. The pattern Marcus documented. Kessler's lawyer tried to speak. The judge silenced him with one look. And when the judge ordered Kessler held without bail pending charges, Nia didn't cheer. She didn't smile. She simply exhaled. Because for the first time since Marcus died, it felt like the world admitted what it had tried to hide. That grief shouldn't be criminal. That power shouldn't be unchecked. That a black widow shouldn't have to fight to mourn her own husband. Outside, reporters asked Nia questions. She didn't answer them. She turned away from the microphones and went back to the cemetery with Ava. They stood at Marcus's grave together. Ava knelt and placed a small toy fire truck on the dirt. "Daddy," Ava whispered, "Mommy didn't let them take you away." Nia's knees buckled beside her child. And she finally let herself cry, not from helplessness. From the truth. From knowing Marcus didn't disappear. He became a voice. Nia rested her palm on the earth. The same place she'd been dragged away from. She whispered, voice shaking but steady. "They tried to steal my goodbye." She swallowed. But they didn't. Maya stood a few steps behind, eyes scanning the perimeter like she still didn't trust the world. Alvarez stood beside her, hands clasped, a man carrying guilt but choosing better. And Nia understood something bigger than her own story. This wasn't only about her. This was about how easily pain becomes suspicious when it wears the wrong skin. About how power can hide behind procedure. About how quickly someone can rewrite the truth when nobody is watching. But Marcus made sure somebody would watch. Nia stood up slowly, brushing damp grass from her knees. She looked at the headstone, then at Ava, then at Maya. "I used to think justice was automatic," Nia said softly. "Like, if something wrong happened, someone in the system would fix it." She laughed once, no humor in it. But that day at the cemetery, her voice cracked, "I learned justice isn't automatic." She looked toward the cemetery entrance, remembering the cruiser, the cuffs, the humiliation. "Justice is something we demand," she said. "Something we document. Something we stand together for, even when it's scary." Maya nodded. Alvarez's eyes dropped. Nia's gaze lifted. "And if this happened to me, at my husband's grave, imagine what happens to people who don't have a Maya," she said. "People who don't have witnesses. People who get swallowed by paperwork and silence." She took Ava's hand. "So, if you're watching this," Nia continued, voice firm, "I need you to hear me, record what you can. Know your rights." Speak up when you see wrong. And don't ever let someone convince you your pain is a crime. The wind moved through the trees, soft now. Not whispering secrets. Sounding like agreement. If this story moved you, if it made you angry, or it made you think, it's because moments like this happen more often than people want to admit. And the only reason they keep happening is because too many times, nobody talks about it. So tell me in the comments. Have you ever seen someone in power abuse it and get away with it? Do you think Officer Kessler was acting alone? Or was it bigger than him from the start? What would you have done if you were Sergeant Alvarez? Step in sooner, or stay quiet to protect your job? And the hardest one, why do you think a grieving widow was labeled suspicious at a cemetery? Your voice matters, and someone reading your comment might feel less alone. If you want more cinematic, emotional stories where truth wins and accountability matters, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Because the next story might feel even closer to home.